everyone, welcome back. It's Tavis Leaf Glover, and today we're going to be covering some interesting movie posters and dig into the composition techniques they use. So we're not going to be covering dynamic symmetry because most of these are center compositions, but they do use some specific design techniques that relate to Gestalt psychology. So the Gestalt psychology principles we're going to cover basically just relates to kind of how the brain interprets visual stimuli and pieces things together to make it simplified and for us to understand it clearly. So sometimes the mind can play tricks on us. Once we know these techniques, we can kind of decipher how to create that in our art and avoid unwanted illusions. So this first one, we're going to cover the aspective view of it, the side profile of the face. But if we zoom in, we also have aspective view of these characters right here. So the spread limbs help us identify these individuals as people and figures going up and down this larger figure. So this technique specifically works well with silhouetted shapes. Since there's a lot of information missing within this figure, we use the most identifiable shape, which is that side profile, and then these spread limbs. So you can see the nice figure-ground relationship as well. Dark figure on a light background. Interesting little design there.
An individual with multiple personalities can change their body chemistry with their thoughts.
Someone's coming for you.
But you can use these for digital painting, photography, oil painting, digital illustrations, anything you can think of. But these techniques will apply to most visual arts. So this is another one. If you squint your eyes, you see these two strong shapes in the center. And if we look closer, we can tell which one's a man and which one's a woman because of that silhouetted shape. We've got the torsos are different and the hair is longer. All minimal information, but since that's an aspective view, we can identify which one's which. But it definitely has some really interesting graphic design here. You look closer, you have all this light brown architectural looking design in there with the paint splatters there, and then the longer red design coming down. This looks really interesting. Next up we have aerial perspective. These figures are all composited in there, and the way they keep them separated and for us to see them clearly is to add this aerial perspective. So behind this guy, his hair is dark, so is his shoulders here, and then Batman's outfit is definitely dark, but they add this aerial perspective in the background, so it's lighter and then it fades up kind of like a haze or a smoke. And they do that to each character. It allows them to be separated a little bit more. Also adds depth to the scene. So we've got these nice dark figures fading into the smoke here, and it also allows that nice figure-ground relationship. We have that here. And a lot of these are going to be center compositions, which is great. We'll see how they play with the vertical center line and how they balance from left to right. So this one's definitely balanced in the center, and they're playing the figures from left to right.
That's a warning.
This too, another one. It's a good movie if you like scary movies, but this is using aerial perspective as well. It's a center composition, but you can see how the stairs fade into the red. Just creates a little bit of mystery there and depth. Simple red background with the dark text. Everything's readable, simple, but works very well.
Keith?
This one, this triangle shape, is the law of closure. That's a Gestalt psychology principle where it's taking multiple elements and grouping them together. But this is specifically a triangular enclosure. And you can see it's actually a group of men, but they cut it into a triangle to make it look graphically appealing, which is nice. And then I played around with this. Like this guy is looking left, and then this plane right here is dropping a bomb, and it's creating a story within that image. So I played around with the gazing direction to maybe see if it changed the composition if he's looking at the bomb. So I switched his head around, and now he's looking up and looking straight at the bomb, and his facial expression changes from what's going on to like, oh boy, here it comes. So you can see how the story has changed just by the way he's looking. So right here he's confused. Maybe he hears a sound, a bomb dropping, but he doesn't know where it is, and right now he sees it and he's like, oh crap. This another one uses the law of closure. So we have all of these separate images, and the way Gestalt psychology works is you see the simplest shape first, and then when you have more time to analyze the scene, you see individual parts. So you see the whole and then the individual parts. So when we zoom out, we'll see that it's kind of her hair, and all these people are creating her hair right there. But when you look closer, you'll see that they're individual shapes in there. So it's another creative way to create art. Nice center composition, nice figure-ground relationship, great lettering complex, but since the law of closure is working well, it's simplified and everything's looking good there. So this one's a nice one. This is a nice kind of vintage movie poster with the slanted lettering down here with squiggly lines that kind of echo these squiggly lines in the distant planets. But this is echoing shapes because we have the circle echoing the larger circle. We also have that hierarchy there. That's a nice one. Nice figure ground relationship. Got that haze glow. That's aerial perspective. Looking good there. Center composition. And then we have this small diagonal coming out, leading our eyes down this way. Just adding a little bit more movement. This is a classic one. We've got the hand coming down the blade, and then the pumpkin is echoed in the shape of the blade there. We've got the lens flare right here, that's aerial perspective, and then also the law of Pragnanz. Since all of these are close together, we're also getting the shape of the mouth of the jack-o'-lantern, which is kind of scary looking. They're all sharp teeth, so they're creating two separate images out of that one image, which creates the nice story of Halloween. This one also has echoing shapes. It's the shape of this first silhouette here. That's an aspect of view of this person. It's a man, but his face is echoed, creating these layers of his face, but each layer has different scenes of the movie, which is a really creative way to tell a story of the movie. And they're different colors as well. You can see they added shadows in there in between the layers to add more depth. Aspect of view on these people. The limbs are spread here. Nice job on that one. Really nice. Center composition. This is another one that's echoing shapes. Take his face and he's turned different ways, and then they layer it and create a hierarchy. So they're cutting out this big face, creating like a lip to make it look like a layer, adding some shadow, and then having him look a different way, creating that lip, adding some shadow, making it smaller and smaller until we get the actual picture. Nice photo composite, but then here's the lower half of him, how they're cutting it out, creating that lip right here to show us a little bit of depth in there, and following it down, kind of like those Russian dolls piecing together. But nice figure ground relationship, center composition, but it's using those echoing shapes.
We only offer the possibility to desoul the body or disembody the soul. Believe me, when you get rid of the soul, everything makes so much more sense.
This one, the law of Pragnanz, that's basically when your mind sees different illusions. So a lot of the surrealists would use this technique here. But if we squint, we'll see that we definitely have the Batman shape. That's the aspect of view of Batman. But we also have this question mark being formed, and that's for the Riddler. And you can see the Riddler's face in there hiding. But if we zoom out, we'll see that it's forming this question mark with the Batman being tied into it. So it's all pieced together, and these are all puzzle pieces, kind of telling a story of the Riddler, question mark, and then the puzzle, trying to fit together the puzzle of the riddles. So a very cool, simple, centered composition, nice figure ground relationship, only two colors, but it's very sophisticated the way it's laid out using these techniques.
I've been trying to reach you.
So if you like this kind of stuff and want to learn more about Gestalt Psychology, I do have a video collection that I made for artists to help them surpass their plateau and reach the master level. So if you're interested in that, I have links in the description below. In this one, we have a face being formed out of the plug-in, which makes sense because this movie is called Tesla and it's about electricity. And a nice center composition there, figure ground relationship. If you squint, you can see this left side being kind of almost lost in that light background, so they could have created a little bit more contrast there somehow, maybe like they did on this side, make that yellow a little bit darker perhaps. But we've got that mustache going on there, which tells the story of the character that Ethan Hawke plays, and then it's telling the story of the electricity. But center composition, nice typography there.
You work at night in a secret laboratory. You shoot lightnings from the earth to the sky.
I'm trying to tame wild cat, and I've become nothing but a mass of bloody scratches.
This one's Raging Bull, so they're piecing two images together to tell the story of the movie. So we've got a boxing glove that's got horns coming out of it, so it looks like a bull, and the movie's about a boxer, and they call him the Raging Bull. So this is a nice little logo created for him. Center composition, got aerial perspective, creating that texture there, like it's foggy, fading that black area, the contrast, so it's kind of misty and foggy.
There's no one else around who wants to fight me. They're all afraid.
There's a lot of bad things, Joey. Maybe it's coming back to me.
This one's the law of Pragnanz as well. We've got this mountain. If we just look individually, we've got a mountain. We've got the tree leaf right here, more trees, and then we've got kind of the mountain and more leaves and trees. But when we zoom out, we see the dinosaur there. So that's the law of Pragnantz, playing with symbols that we've seen all throughout our life, reading books, looking at images. We know this is a T-Rex, but it's actually just the mountain and the leaves creating that shape being pieced together in our mind. So that's a nice one. Got aerial perspective in that as well. And then here are some more creative ones I thought I would mention. Just nice reflection here, kind of like creating some visual tension with their faces cut off and creating that mystery, but we can see their face in the reflection. So it's kind of creating a story of that they're distant, they're looking opposite ways of each other. I haven't seen this movie, but it looks like it's maybe like about a marriage that's not working well. So you can create stories the way you compose your image. This one's a really good movie, black and white, by Joel Cohen, director of Fargo, if you've seen that movie. But it's really good. It's an interesting cover here. It's got a knife with blood on it, and then this person right here is the face, and then this is the crown. So it's creating a little story there of like the king is dead. Nice figure ground relationship. This is an aspect of view right here, nostril, and then the lips. Some people might see that as an eyeball. This might look like an eyeball at first because this one's missing. So it's just the way the mind perceives it. People will see that a little bit differently. At first I thought it was an eyeball, but then I looked closer and it was just the nose, the nostril. That's a really interesting one. Just nice figure ground relationship, telling a story. We got some blood up here, so maybe it's like, George Romero's. I've never seen this movie, but you can tell it's going to be gory because he's got this guy's head bloody and it's kind of sawed off, but it's really creative, showing us depth with the way they've created this carousel and the aspect of view of the horses. Just a really interesting cover.
The man in the amusement park is a mirror image of yourself, separated only by the passage of time.
It's another interesting one. Got the lips with the blood coming down, or is that like strawberry glazed? Who knows, but really interesting cover there. Center composition, telling a story. Got variety in these drips. So if you're creating these drips, you can see how they're creating a hierarchy, but they're also varying the drips. They're not all identical, and the highlights are a little bit different. So that's nice variety there. Nice hierarchy as well.
Hey, I said, what are you doing?
And of course this one is a really creative image. Fast paced. It's all about like how high he is, how many drugs he's taken. So it makes sense that his face is all warped like this. He's moving in fast pace. You got these fast lights. This is Las Vegas here. The splatters, the bats. Nice figure ground relationship on the lettering. You can read it clearly. Got that arabesque in the head here coming down.
Strange memories on this nervous night in Las Vegas.
But that's it for this one. I hope you guys liked that one. This is something different, something interesting to show you guys that these Gestalt Psychology principles and composition techniques apply to all kinds of different art. And if you're watching this and it's not specific to the kind of art you create, it's up to you to kind of decipher how can you use these techniques in your art. Because if you look at the side profile of the face or whatever, you can apply that to photography, you can apply it to cinematography, you can apply these techniques to almost every visual art. So I hope you enjoyed that. Leave a comment below if you want to suggest any other artists that you want me to dig into. But until then, I'll talk to you later.